Welcome back to the pregame show. The Spartans taking on Stevens College tonight. I'm Harry Schrader. Head coach Iris Dixon is with us. And before we talk about tonight's game, a tough weekend with some really good opponents this past weekend. Talk a little bit about maybe what were the main struggles for your team this past weekend.
Well, I think traveling on the road is always a struggle. Being away from home, long trips, and then just getting off to slow starts. We didn't have our legs underneath us, and again, when you're playing on the road, especially at a long distance, it can take a toll on you.
When you talk about starting slow, I think shot 20% in the first half of the first game. Shooting, it makes it all different, doesn't it? I mean, a couple of those go in, and all of a sudden, boy, and now I've got energy.
Yeah, it does. It takes you a little bit to get going. That's why warm-ups is extremely important, because for us, that we consider that our first half of a game. Now we're warmed up, and now when the game starts, we're ready to go. We didn't really have that, and so again, we got up to a slow start, wasn't able to make shots, and they shot phenomenal in the first half, and so it was a bit of a struggle in the first half.
And then you seem to be able to make a nice comeback in the second half. Is it still a learning process, learning how this team reacts to certain kinds of things? Like, I mean, every year you got to learn what your team is about, personality-wise.
It's learning every day, not just every year, every day. From one day to the next, sometimes you're just really not sure what you're going to get. And a little bit unpredictable in terms of the last two games and things like that. But overall, I think, I do know the girls and expectations. It's just, we have those days.
Bright spot, Angela Talley has 20 in one of the games, and she has really become kind of one of your go-to players. Oh
yeah, she brings tremendous athleticism off the bench, and she steps up and then contribute. I think without her, then some of those games that we struggle in, would be worse than what they were.
And we've been talking about a number of the players and developing, but your senior, Taylor Klingelhoefer, goes over the 1,000-point mark. She gets 12 the other night. She's knocking down threes a little bit more with regularity here in the last couple of games. Her senior season kind of heading toward the finish line, she's starting to rev up a little bit.
Oh yeah, Taylor, I think she's, once she hit that 1,000 mark, I think that pressure was off. Now I think it's all uphill for her in terms of giving everything that she has, and she has really nothing left to do but to play.
Let's talk about tonight's game. Very important conference game for you guys. You're right there in that 8-9 slot in the playoffs, and but Stevens comes in. They're below you, and you're at home. You've got to knock them off. But talk about Stevens a little bit.
Well, Stevens is not your typical Stevens a team in the past, and very competitive. When we played them down there from the get-go, we got off to a slow start. It was a struggle. Went up 1 point at the halftime, and we eventually did beat them. But again, we cannot get off to a slow start. A team like Stevens coming in with really nothing to lose, and we'll take advantage of that.
How do you match up, meaning like in terms of your style versus theirs? Can you compare, contrast the two teams?
Well, I think on any given day when we're ready to go, we're ready to go, and we like to get up. We like to transition early offense, and they like to press a little bit, which that tends to work in our favor because we can get the easier buckets that way. We also like to press to push, to speed up the tempo and things like that. It's just our style of play. So I think in terms of comparing the two teams, not to say anything bad against Stevens, I do think they're a good team. I think if we show up to play, then we're very hard to beat.
Jerica Hawkins, no question, has been kind of the MVP early in the year and seems to have hit the wall a little bit lately. She's gotten into some foul trouble. Some of the production has dropped. Anything going on there that you've noticed?
Well, I think it's just, the wear and tear, mentally and physically. The 2 long trips that we had, I think leading into that point, I think it's just a wear and tear. We got back, refocus, we're at home. We don't have to travel. So I'm hoping for a big game for her.
Huge game. Stevens College is in town. The Spartans need a win tonight at home. Stick around. We'll have the play-by-play for you in just a minute. This has been the Coaches Show here on the Spartan Digital Network.